Welcome to SVG-TV News for Tuesday, February 21st, 2017. I'm Lafern Fraser with the details. Founder of the New Democratic Party, Sir James Mitchell, said he is not fazed by those whom he believes are trying to destroy the legacy of the party. In a radio interview on Monday, Sir James, who had recently undergone surgery to implant a pacemaker, chided those whom he believes have seemingly become spokespersons for the 40-year-old political party which he helped to establish. Sir James said those wishing that he was impeached in the Otley Hall inquiry, of which he was found not guilty, must also be forgiven.
They would have been happy if I lost the Commission of Inquiry and my legal case. They would have been happy if I lost. They wanted me exterminated, and they would have liked to have me exterminated, but I was able to secure justice for myself, for my family, for the party, and for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It would never be good for St. Vincent and the Grenadines to have a commission of inquiry proving that a prime minister is corrupt. That is wicked history for a country. I am not in that, and I'm delighted, and forgive them. They don't know what they're doing, and they are only trying to destroy the goodwill that the party has in its legacy.
When asked about his opinion on the recent selection of executive members to serve the NDP at the party's convention, Sir James reiterated the point that, quote, when dead are in a house, the windows need to be opened, unquote. He remarked it was more than time that the party brought in fresh air.
Good luck to them. I wish them luck. And as I said before, I am delighted. The last time I think I spoke with you, I said how it was important to when you have a dead in the house, that you keep the windows open and the doors and let in fresh air. And I hope the party will continue to let in fresh air. They still have that job is an ongoing exercise to attract new people and attract new people with talent, and make sure these are people who are prepared to learn and who are prepared to learn fast. St. Vincent can't afford to be making mistakes, or the party cannot afford to be making mistakes and losing and losing and losing.
Sir James was an honored speaker last night at a banquet in St. Lucia to celebrate the island's 38th independence, which will be commemorated tomorrow, February 22nd. There must be a change in attitude of the people of SVG if the nation is to benefit from the operation of the Argyle International Airport in the long run. That's the view of Queen's Counsel Parnell Campbell as he spoke on his Law and You television program last evening on SVG-TV in relation to the opening and operation of the AIA. Campbell said that the newly built air facility will have its challenges with the lack of enough hotel space for mass arrivals and the fact that it would take some time before international flights are scheduled to land here. The Queen's Counsel, however, added that for Vincentians to benefit from the air facility in the long run, there must be a change in attitude.
There are ancillary facilities which we don't have. For example, we do not right now have enough hotel rooms in St. Vincent and Grenadines to cater for mass arrivals. That will take time. But we have to undertake and undergo attitudinal changes in St. Vincent and the Grenadines as a people to make that international airport a success in the long run. We have to be more welcoming to people, not just in the provision of physical facilities, but things like noise pollution we have to keep at a minimum. Realizing that St. Vincent will be competing with a lot of Caribbean destinations, all with their attractions. And for us to encourage tourists to come here, we have to make it worth their while to come to St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Speaking on the advantages of the AIA, Campbell says its importance in relation to the movement of people cannot be underestimated and is expected to aid in reducing the indignities faced by Vincentians passing through the airports of other countries to get home.
the indignity of having to put up with people. Well, I personally haven't suffered much in that respect, but I know of many Vincentians who have gone through horrors passing through other countries to come home. Now, once things get going, and it will take some time before scheduled flights are planned for Argyle, Vincentians would be able to come straight home and know they can depend on getting a flight back to their countries to take up their jobs. The importance of the airport to the movement of people cannot be underestimated.
With 40 homicides recorded here last year, the highest in years, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves is of the view that a cluster of associated grouping are the ones mainly perpetrating crime in the country. At a media conference on Monday, Dr. Gonsalves, who is also Minister of National Security, said he is pleased that the rate thus far is low, with only one reported case of homicide. He said that while the police are doing much to tackle crime, more can and will be done to address the matter.
I wouldn't call them, and I've said it before, solid, organized gangs with an internal coherence and commonality of action, as you have in some other countries. You tend to have associational groupings, and there's some fluidity in some of these associational groupings around crime. But there are certain groups which may have a particular geographic locale or center around which some individuals may cluster.
The Prime Minister further noted that while most of the serious offences are committed by young males, the majority in this country are law-abiding, and called on these persons to give more guidance to young males throughout the nation.
Stop and search, using search warrants, a whole range of things. But the home and the school and the community and the church, these are still very important elements. These are vital in molding that young boy into the teenage years. Of course, the media has its role to play. You can't leave a child, a young child, a young male child, on his own without serious guidance.
Chief Engineer in the Ministry of Transport and Works, Brent Bailey, believes that bad environmental practice by humans is causing infrastructural damage in this country. Bailey, who was speaking on Radio 705's Views and Issues program, which focused on disaster recovery issues, pointed out that many of the roads and bridges throughout this country have been built in the 70s and 80s and already have been weakened by time. He explained that many of these structures are further weakened because of the pressure of water courses, are blocked by heavy sediments that come from the upper watersheds, and also by human garbage being thrown in the rivers.
A lot of our challenges downstream because of poor human practices upstream and in the upper watersheds is contributing to a lot of sediment coming down, and when I say sediment, sand material coming to the lower watershed areas, brought down by the rivers and deposited in a lot of cases in people's homes because they're also built in the river courses. That's just a small summary of some of the things that is summary of the situation that is.
The chief engineer said over time the government has been making efforts to rebuild these structures stronger, wider, and higher to facilitate the heavy flow of water that passes through watercourses, particularly during disasters.
We have been building our bridges wider and higher. In Karatal, for instance, I got a lot of flack for raising the bridge 1.5 meters, and 1.5 meters is really only 5 feet. Honestly, I wish I'd raised it more. But when you as an engineer also have to consider the structure in between and betwixt all the other structures and what sort of dynamic it creates there, because we also have to consider how we run the electricity lines and the water lines and how the adjoining roads are going to connect to that bridge. So making a design choice because of one factor, you have to make sure that they all mesh and blend with all the other factors that are in the immediate vicinity of that structure.
Carnival activities on the Leeward side of the island this year promise to be exceptional, with a merge of the committees to host the first ever all Leeward Carnival. At a media launch today, coordinator of rural carnivals Ellsworth Ezzy Roberts explains that South, Central and North Leeward have united to host a grand carnival program of activities, which is scheduled to kick off with the official launching on Friday, March 3rd.
The idea of the All Leeward launch actually came out of a meeting that we had with some rural committees, and Asbot Williams was the one who came up with the idea of doing an All Leeward launch. I must say that the groups present, they embraced the idea instantly and they ran with it, so to speak. Subsequent meetings were set up where representatives from the three groups met and started fleshing out the event and so on, and all the excitement began to flow. And here we are today with an event that is slated for Friday, March 3rd. I would also like to speak about the camaraderie that I would have seen from attending meeting and so on. There was natural unity between the groups. Attended a meeting with about 17 individuals, 17, 18, thereabout, that was the number, persons from the three groups, and they were able to flesh out their program of activities, not just about this event, but they're able to schedule the events for all the Rural Carnival activities subsequent to the launch. So it's not a case where you're going to have a launch and then you have a gap where you have no activities on the Leeward side. The intention was to go from the launch straight into a number of different Rural Carnival activities on the Leeward side.
Robert says while there will be one official launching, the activities will be spread across the respective constituencies on the Leeward side, and that each one must support one.
So the dates have been shared between the groups, so you're going to North Leeward, Central, South Leeward, and the idea is for them to support each other. So the people from South Leeward will go to North Leeward, the people from Central Leeward come to South Leeward, etc., and support each other. And I really want to commend them for the sort of level of unity that I'm seeing there, and I will hope that it would continue and even get big, as Ashford rightly said, into one of these days we having an all Leeward Carnival rather than just an all Leeward Carnival launch. I know that we always heard that there's unity, there's strength in numbers, and where there's unity, there's strength, and I'm seeing it from this activity.
Representative for the All Leeward Carnival Committee, Jules Morgan, says he welcomes the new initiative, adding that the Leeward Carnival season has been carefully organized in such a way to avoid any conflicting dates of scheduled events.
And each committee would have put forward dates for their individual activities. And what we did is that we try to walk around each other's dates. We do not want any clashing of events. What we want to do is to support each other as much as possible. So if North Leeward is having an activity, South Leeward and Central Leeward could put a caravan together and we join it down to North Leeward and give them their support, and vice versa. A color code was proposed, and it was decided that it will be an all-white affair. So come March 3rd, that night, it will be an all-white affair. We'll be using glue sticks and bands. So glow sticks, glow bands will be used that night to be given to patrons on entering the facility. We also decided to use artists mainly from the Leeward areas. It's an all Leeward affair, so we decided as much as possible we can get the artists from the Leeward side of the island.
And members of the South, Central and North Leeward Carnival Committee said Leeward is leading for VincyMass 2017, highlighting some of what is in store for South Leeward's Carnival. Kimron Charles, the constituency's Carnival Committee's representative, said that one of their objectives is to strive to touch base with every community in the constituency so that everyone can experience the true VincyMass culture.
The first activity, post-launch activity for the South Leeward Rural Carnival Committee would be on Sunday, March 19th, and that will be a bucket fete that we would be doing in conjunction with our St. Vincent Brewery Limited. Friday, April 21st, we will be having a fish fest at Clare Valley. What we're trying to do is touch just about every community within the South Leeward area. On Sunday, April 30th, we will be venturing to Pirates Cove in Lowman's Bay. We are dubbing a semi-inclusive pool party. This is a daytime event. On Friday, the 26th, this is where we get into our main activity of our carnival weekend activity in South Leeward. We begin that with a Calypso Soca show at the Desire Sports Bar that's in Kittels.
Representative for the Central Leeward Carnival Committee, Gilbert Frederick, said the United Carnival launch is something to rave about as it sets the tone for an epic Leeward Carnival product.
Everything will be triple. So you get your triple team, triple committees, your triple drinks, triple entertainment. In the past, what we found in terms of our individual launching was the fact that the quality that we give to the patrons who weren't really up to scratch. But this year, when you look at the program, it is rich. It has a lot of the components of carnival. So it have music, it have mass, it have steel pan, it have everything inside there. And for that, we're really excited about that. We're going to start off in terms of Central Leeward on March the 11th. We have what we call a soca jungle. We will give young artists the opportunity to, showcase their soca artists, to showcase their talent. And that's going to be on March the 11th. And then also the usual, we have a neon fete that's going to be on the 24th.
And residents of North Leeward should expect a bigger and better carnival, so said Jimmy Allen, the constituency's Carnival Committee representative. He noted that the committee has sought to revive some of the past and much raved about events.
Now this year, we operating under the theme Pan, Mass, Soca and Beauty Queens for North Leeward Carnival 2017. Because of this new initiative, our carnival has been expanded somewhat. And our first event, Friday, March the 31st, we'll be starting off with our wet fete. And this would be at the Beachfront Restaurant and Bar in Chateaubelair. That will be followed on Saturday, April the 15th, by an event that we've dubbed Soca in the Cold, which would be held in Rose Hall. On Saturday, May the 20th, that will be the day when we have our Kiddies Carnival, because we want to incorporate the mass, and we're starting from the very young. We'll be having our Kiddies Carnival and Soca Monarch in the night. The Kiddies Carnival in the day, Soca Monarch would follow in the night. On the 4th of June, we'll have our parade of the young ladies who will be taking part in our Queen Show. And on the 5th, which will be Whit Monday, we're heading into the Cumberland Beach for our beach splash.
As part of the SVG Girl Guides Association's activities to commemorate World Thinking Day, the association will be hosting a public speaking competition tomorrow at the Girl Guides headquarters from 3:30 p.m. Some 8 brownie guides are expected to take part in this year's competition, discussing the topic From a small seed, a mighty tree may grow. How this relates to you as a Brownie Guide. Speaking with SVG-TV News, Chairperson of the Junior Council of the SVG Girl Guides Association, Nafisha Richardson, said the competition aims at building the participants' sense of confidence.
Well, I think with public speaking competitions, the main goal is just to gain the girls' confidence. Generally, you may see a lot of young ladies who are very shy, they're not very outspoken, and some of them, unfortunately, they don't have a voice. And at the association, our goal is to give young women and young girls a voice. So with the competition, basically, other than just, going up there and speaking, you learn how to speak publicly, how to manage yourself, how to feel composed, even though you're in front of a crowd, and just general things like that, boosting the girls' confidence.
Richardson expressed gratitude to parents of Girl Guides, noting that their support continues to be phenomenal, and used the example of her experience in the organization to encourage more parents to have their daughters join the SVG Girl Guides Association.
Well, I think I would speak from personal experience. I have been a part of the association since I was 7, and I'm about 19 now, so I think that's roughly, 12 or so years, if my maths is correct. And when I started, I was a very shy, laid-back, reserved person. And I, too, entered this competition, and I won back many years ago. And it truly has given me a voice. I don't think if I didn't enter the competition, that I would be able to sit here in front of cameras and feel confident. I don't think that I would have been able to do a lot of the things that I've been able to do. Being a part of the Girl Guides Association, not necessarily just from a Brownie. Whenever you choose to join, you immediately get immersed into activities that are empowering, and they teach you how to love yourself, and therefore you love others, you love your environment, you love your friends, you love school, and it really motivates you to be the best you that you can possibly be.
Speaking directly on the activities which take place yearly in celebration of World Thinking Day, the Junior Council chairperson said the activities each year are usually different to give the members a different experience.
Well, the themes, they change every year, so I can't say. I don't think we would do something similar. We've been trying to switch it up every year, but we're trying to make it more fun, more exciting, because in the past, Thinking Day used to be celebrated. We had a march through town to the Methodist church. You go in, you had a little ceremony, and you go back home. But that didn't really do much for the young people, I suppose. So now we're trying to make it a lot more interactive and have them truly enjoy Thinking Day, because the meaning behind Thinking Day is that you think about others, you think about your friends, you think about your family, you think about girls and guides all over the world. And sometimes if it's always so structured like it was in the church setting, they lose the true meaning of it. So we're trying to mix it up and have them experience Thinking Day in a different way.
The University of the West Indies Open Campus will host the UWI Postgraduate Intercampus Debating Competition here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines later this week. The preliminary round will take place on Thursday, February 23rd at 9 a.m., while the final round will take place on Friday, February 24th at 2:30 p.m. at the Beachcombers Hotel Conference Room at Villa. Contingents from all 4 campuses of the University of the West Indies, including Mona, Cave Hill, St. Augustine, and the Open Campus, will engage in debates on the following topics: the Zika virus, a CARICOM currency, reparations for CARICOM and distance learning, and face-to-face learning. The UWI postgraduate debaters are also expected to make an official visit to the SVG Community College. Local Guild Chapter Chair Nick Francis says he is pleased to welcome the debaters and looks forward to a spirited competition.